Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Alundra. It's time to pick up the Topaz crest, supposedly our 5th crest, really our 3rd. Thankfully Nerd had the presence of mind to stick it somewhere where it wouldn't be stuck in the collapsing lair. And we have yet another reward on top of that, the Aqua Cape, which isn't nearly as useful as you think it is compared to the Sand Cape. They do mention also that we shouldn't need their help because we're much stronger than they are, but they did save us from Zorgia, so I don't know. It seems like we should have like a retinue of little imps following us around now that they're on our side, much like Melzas has the Merg. Also, that guy gives you 50 Gilder, which is totally useful right now that we have 4,000 Gilder, and there's so many things we can buy with money. Like, stuff at Merrick's shop, which costs 10,000. But of course, we don't need that much money because we've crossed 35 Gilded Falcons, which means we've passed the threshold for another reward. In this case, since it's a multiple of 5, we're going to get our 39th Life Vessel, leaving only 3 rewards left to get from the guy. The Recovery Ring for 40, the last Life Vessel for 45, and whatever mystery item we get for collecting every Gilded Falcon in the game. We, of course, can get to 40 if we just pick up 3 from the casino, but I think I'll just skip that for now. It's pretty tedious, and I just have no desire to worry about it right now, so we'll get them later. Anyway, let's go ahead and find that one place we can use the Aqua Cape. You don't even need to equip it, although you can use it to make yourself temporarily invulnerable in water. You just need to have it in your inventory to enter this larger whirlpool over here. Briefly rotate our save state for later. And we can enter now the Fairy Pond dungeon. The only partially underwater dungeon in the game. You can only access this place after having picked up the Aqua Cape in the game. You don't ever need to equip it for the entire thing. I also learned in this dungeon, this is the first time we've seen Lizardmen since we left the Reptilicus Maximus lair, that the Fire Wand and the Ice Wand work really well against enemies with shields. But what works even better than that is just not bothering fighting them at all. There aren't any challenges that require you to fight all the enemies in a room in this little dungeon. It's pretty short, not quite as short as the Fire and the Ice Manners, but still much shorter than the regular dungeon in the game. So it's much easier in this case just to avoid the enemies and move from door to door, basically. We'll take this path because it allows us to get to this teleporter without having to deal with those 2 spiked balls over there. For some reason, spiked balls in this dungeon do a lot more damage than any previous dungeon, something like 3 to 4 points of damage, so it's very easy to nearly die. And here we are introduced to the game's underwater mechanics, which are basically very similar to the game's ice mechanics, and they're just really slow, stupid versions of the regular mechanics, which are already sketchy at best. This is also a level where you suffer a lot from the fact that perspective is pretty bad in this game. You'll see the ledge to my right is actually stopping me, is actually jutting out a bit from where I already am, which means I have to jump around it to get to the one to the right of the spiked ball, but it's incredibly easy to just accidentally run into the spike ball, because it's really unclear if that ledge is below you, or above you, or forward, or whatever. So yeah, I lost half my life meter just getting around that ball. We can, I think, actually break the chains with the Iron Flail, which makes it easier to get to this Life Vessel, giving us a total of 40. And we'll see that in a later room. But really all we want to do right now is get to the bottom here, for this switch. The great thing about the water physics is that you have a lot of control over Alundra in the air, and it's going to come in really handy later, because of course this game needs to test incredibly precise platforming, despite not really being well suited for precise platforming in the first place. So yeah, notice that you can move multiple squares to the left and right very easily while you're very slowly moving through these sort of water physics. Again, I'll show how sort of agonizing this is, since we actually have to manually get back up to the top of the room. It would be nice if they stuck something that like an elevator or whatever, but I guess we were not so fortunate. This is the only room exactly like this that you have to go through in order to complete this dungeon. There is a little bit more underwater exploration, but it's mostly basic platforming across like ledges and stuff, but we'll see a little bit more about that later. Of course, here we actually have to go past these spike balls again, because we can't go back up the ledge we were previously on. We do have to make our way back there, because that's where the door we opened up and the switch happens to reside. Let's cut this grass down and see if we can replenish the health that we lost running into those smaller balls and lizardmen. So yeah, this is a little hidden passage that was opened up because we hit the switch at the bottom of the first cave, and that allows us to access this teleporter. Pretty straightforward, this dungeon overall. We're just basically going to move from room to room and teleporter to teleporter. Getting here allows us to hit this rock, which is required to pass through a later room. We cannot directly jump. I will not easily jump to those platforms from where we are right now. So let's just go back and find the next sequence. It's actually a bit to the north of where we had been previously. Basically, the path to the north that we ignored, we chose the right of the 2 branches when going to the very first room with the life vessel. So let's make our way back there now. Yeah, up these stairs and around into this teleporter over here. Nothing too challenging yet, especially since it'd be really obvious you can't progress in a given area if you go when you're not supposed to. So yeah, you can see in this case the game is asking us to do some really complicated, even blind platforming. Now that we have this ridiculously long jump, and check this out, you have to go all the way around these little stalagmites. It's really hard to tell exactly where the stalagmites will allow you to move. You're basically supposed to. You're basically doomed unless you've done it before to drop into the chasm below it, which basically just forces you to find a bubble to ride back up to the top at least once while you're trying to do this. Anyway, that brings us to this new room. We can jump across these little platforms over here, but that doesn't really do anything other than make it a little bit easier to avoid those little spike balls. There's no reward you get for making your way all the way to the edge here, except it just allows you to jump over that last ball, which I think I don't even bother doing. Oh no, I do. I just miss it. Pretty close to the end already. Again, I think there's only about 5 or 6 real rooms here. Here's where we actually get to make use of the fact that you can use the iron flail to break the chains in these balls, because it makes it much easier to do the platforming in between these little plateaus. So let's go do that now. Each time you break one, it will hit the ceiling and cause a rain of boulders to fall down, but since you should be moving as you do this, it really shouldn't ever be an issue for you. The only tricky one is that one, which happens to be obscured by the platform you're supposed to turn the corner on. That little bubble over there will bring you up to the platform in the center, but we don't really need that right now. What we do need, we want to head up to that teleporter up there in the upper right, which will bring us to the very close to the final, to our goal in this dungeon, whatever it happens to be. Again, this is totally optional, so you can imagine we're basically just doing this for an upgrade or something along those lines. Yeah, all we want to do is find this little pit here, and eventually a bubble will come up. You cannot stand in the pit; it will not let you stand in the bubble if you do that. Although it will carry you up for some weird reason. You actually have to wait for it to spawn while not standing in the hole itself, and then you can jump to this little platform here. This is actually really similar to the area that you would fall in if you happen to fall down from the previous room we had to do some platforming in. You would basically just ride one of the bubbles back up to the previous room, either to the little treasure chest that we passed by in that room, or back up to the start. The chests all contain herbs, other than the one that I opened up that has a life vessel, including the one in the previous room that we skipped over that you might have seen to the right as we were doing the platforming across the chasm. So, I mean, I'll open those just to show them off. I'm not even going to bother filling up my health and emptying out the chest. There's no particular reason to do that right now. It's the bubble here that we can land on, thankfully, because we jumped at the right time. And we can follow this teleporter to nearly the last room in the dungeon. Again, I'll just tank these hits from these balls. It's not really worth trying to wrestle with the kind of slow swimming controls. And this is it, the last room. This is automatic. We walk up by ourselves, by default, and we are going to meet... This is vaguely angelic-looking Stenia. This girl is like Beru from the teleporting gate side quest. She's basically just arbitrarily here to reward us for exploring every corner of the area, with a little backstory about Nerud and the Gazek. Which is nice because we don't really get any backstory during the game itself, so it's cool that they stuck something like this somewhere in the game at least. It's a little unclear to me what the difference is between the 7 Gazek that the humans revered as previous gods, and the 7 sages like Nava and Uma and Nerud himself. It's kind of strange. I guess it's assumed, based on this storyline itself, you can see here that Melzas became a god through the strength of the prayers of the people, as told here, and as we've sort of seen from the flow of the storyline itself. I guess Nerud, once he woke up and found out that he was no longer a god and that the humans were worshipping basically Satan, chose to become a guardian so that basically at the worst it would be an equipoise and Melzas would be sealed. But unfortunately, this dialogue very rapidly comes to an end. Melzas apparently finds Stenia, kills her, but not before she gives us the Fiend Blade, the second strongest non-unlockable weapon in the game. And I believe it's about twice as powerful as our previous swords. That's kind of cool. This is certainly worth doing. And now, thanks to Melzas, apparently, this place is being destroyed. And you'll notice this as we try to escape from this dungeon. Yeah, there'll be some boulders falling. Basically, all you want to do is move to this teleporter here on the top, and I'll skip most of the rest of this. I just wanted to show the the fact that it's shaking and boulders are falling. So yeah, let's just follow this. This follows, but takes us back to this little area over here, and that's about the only other unique areas. Let's just skip out to the part where we actually exit and get the heck out of here. Alright, so that was worthwhile. We picked up an upgrade to our favorite weapon, currently the strongest weapon we have in our possession. It does a little bit more damage than the ice and fire rods, and actually any of the other upgraded weapons that we can get, because I believe most of the other weapons in the game also have, like the flail and the bow, have an upgraded form that we haven't found yet. So, now that we've done that, the only thing left to do is do what we usually do when we need a new objective. We'll make our way back to Inoa Village and see what's going on over there. It's actually a little bit obscure what we're supposed to be doing right now. Let's show you how to get back to the mainland from that river area. You can easily get out again at Mappa's house, or you can go to the west, I think, and get out near the teleporting gate. So yeah, check this out. One charge attack. The charge doesn't look any different, but it's strong enough by itself to kill a turtle. So now that I've shown that, let's go back to Inoa. The first place you want to go once you get back here is Lutas' house, because, I mean, that guy was just so important to the plot, but it's not right. It's exactly where you would think to go. So he's got stuff to say. Lutas, evidently, his life was in danger. Well, go figure. I mean, everybody's life is in danger in this town, but Ronan saved him. I wonder why that is. I mean, Ronan is very clearly in cahoots with Melzas, very clearly working against the town, so why would he save Lutas? There's actually kind of an interesting reason behind this, which is pretty cool, all things considered. It's very meta as games go, and Maya's about to explain it to us. That actually was an automated jump. Alundra was shocked by Maya being there, even though she was standing there for like 5 seconds after we got out of the house. So yeah, remember Sybil's premonition that told us that Lutas would die and Jess would use his spirit to forge the holy sword. And calling back to the very, very first scene in the church in the game, we prayed to Melzas, or I should say we prayed arbitrarily to the gods that Ronan prescribed to without knowing what they are. And apparently Melzas has been in our mind the whole time, which explains why he knows that Lutas needs to stay alive, and why he knew where, for example, Stenia was just now. It was actually totally our fault, which actually makes me feel like kind of a jerk. But Maya's savvy enough herself to know that it's time to take care of this now. So we're going to go over to the Sanctuary and see if we can't take out the statue of Melzas. Yep, gentlemen first. She's well aware of the fact that we're armed to the teeth with all these powerful weapons and magic, and we've been basically the most hands-on of the two of us up until now. But how well is it going to go? Well, Ronan's right here. I love how he's like standing in midair on top of his staircase. I also love how Maya's very sensitive to the presence of Melzas, but Alundra has no idea, had no idea this whole time that there was a statue of Melzas here, despite the fact that he's apparently the chosen one and the one prophesied to solve all these problems. I don't know. Well, anyway, Ronan is apparently just standing there, blocking us from going down and doing it ourselves, and, you know, even though he's an old man, no one who's also, you know, a devil worshipper, we have no desire to overpower him, just go down and do it ourselves. Sigh. Still, we have, I guess, our overarching objective for the rest of the game, other than picking up the last 2 crests. That's all that. So, we're going to get our next short-term objective again from Maya. She's going to go protect Septimus overnight, and you're going to go protect Jess. And that'll totally go well. But we'll see how that turns out on the next episode of Let's Play Alundra. As soon as I get into Jess's house, I will see you then.